Somebody's gonna lose their bedroom.
I would, yeah, no doubt. 8 months. That's it. Anyway.
Indeed.
Thanks for joining us. It's been a while, guys. Couple weeks, a few couple.
Yeah,
Few.
like a month.
To everyone joining us after the live stream, jump ahead roughly about 15 minutes to get to the first impressions and review of new ZT.
A new one.
This one. Just a little sneaky peeky.
A little.
Just all a little
It's
peeky.
probably gonna be a positive review.
But, well, I mean,
At least somewhat.
You don't know.
Now that you said that, I'm going to change everything I'm saying to as negative as possible.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one thing you need to know. I'm temperamental at the best of times, and I got a tummy ache, so bring it on.
You said tummy.
Yep.
Can you tell we haven't streamed in a bit? Yeah.
All right.
Please excuse my creepy lighting, my somewhat creepy lighting. It'll be better next week, I hope.
Ben, Jacob, what is up? We are, in fact, still alive.
The West Coast tried to take us.
Mm.
We came back. It's fine.
Mm.
So, who's going first?
Who's on first? I don't want to do that bit.
No. I mean, I'm happy
No
to
one
go
ever
first.
does until you're already like 3 sentences in, and then you realize it's too late. You've gone too far.
Does anybody have anything new? Because I definitely don't.
I got something like old.
Okay.
That's kind of what he asked, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually don't think I've shown it on the show before, at least not as a carry item, so I could start there.
Well, that means that you're gonna go first, I guess.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been carrying this thing. Thought to bring it in to show a coworker, and now it's just kind of living in my front pocket. Kershaw Double Cross. This specific version was a limited edition. They did, I don't know, 2011, 2010, something like that. Yeah, dual bladed with VG1 cutting core. I thought it was VG10 for the longest time, but apparently VG1. Yeah, Dennis has the Oz 6 version there with the rosewood. I think rosewood.
You say Oz 6, but I don't know.
Dennis has never looked into it.
I probably knew at one point, but oh my god, I have so many.
I'm pretty sure Oz 6. I'm pretty sure I ran into that information while trying to track down what the hell this actually is.
Fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
VG1. Is it VG1? Is that what?
It is VG1. Every source I could find has said VG1. Multiple different website listings. Yeah.
Did we ask Ben? I mean, he might know.
Oh.
It's
would Ben know?
I'm just throwing trash already. It's been a month. It's
yeah.
I mean, you got to make up for lost time, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're not just constantly slogging shit, I mean, why not?
I had to get to it first before it was up in the comments about some left-handed bullshit. Like
it was going to happen no matter what, whichever way it started from.
Only a matter of time.
This lighting is so terrible. I'm so sorry. Anyway.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's a liner lock, so you can flick these blades open. It's super weird.
Would you describe the pins as being completely flush? Like you can't feel that they exist?
Yes, there is a very small amount of gapping around the sides, but part of that I think is just from the lighting, because in person they look pretty uniform. And again,
I have one on mine that I can feel a ridge on, and the rest of them are like I can tell they're there, but they're smooth.
Okay.
I've actually had a minor crack form on the ebony from the middle pin. It's definitely not going to show. Oh, hey, wow, that actually focused real quick. I got to figure out how to make that happen on purpose. I think I was actually carrying this in cargo pants like some years ago, and it must have hit the side of a table or something right on that part where it's a little bit higher next to that pin. But other than that, no issues with this knife. Yeah, it's cool. I wish they would keep making weird stuff like this.
Absolutely. Infinite, what is up? I forgot to ask earlier, what are y'all carrying? chat doesn't want to load for Infinite right now. So he can speak into the ether, but he can't see responses.
Try refreshing
Oh.
your page. I had to do that a few different times.
We can just, keep the responses a joke to us. That
Yeah.
way,
Wow.
it's funny
Absolutely.
to everyone except for him.
We're just gonna have a running conversation going on in chat that Justin just isn't
I'll
aware
start
of.
chatting here. I never chat.
It's perfect.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff on the Kershaws. Keeping with the small theme.
Indeed.
I can go next.
Sure.
And I'm just cheating because this was when they stole us to the West Coast. We thought we might actually stream the week that we got back. And then we didn't. So I'm just reusing a West Coast picture that I had. And I tweaked the crap out of it because it is St. Patty's Day next weekend. Or tomorrow, next weekend. How about tomorrow? Jesus. That's yeah. So I went all greensies, but I'm carrying the little man bug. I was carrying it on the carry-on. Had no
Very
problem
nice.
carrying it on the carry-on.
Very
Carried
I'm into
it,
it.
man.
A little sagely.
Yeah. Went a little Elphaba for the green Wicked Witch of the West kind of vibes going on in the background. Also St. Patty's. So yeah.
Indeed. Was that in Vancouver or?
Yes, yeah.
Very cool.
Just messing with some stuff,
Yeah.
Excellent.
Just what's it?
That
the
looks
toxic sludge from Ninja Turtles.
That looks so
seeping
shiny.
into your.
That bolster and those pins, those screw heads
Well,
look
sure,
so
it's
shiny.
pretty shiny. Like it's
Yeah. I like the shiny shines. Pretty great. Every once in a while, for a knife like this, I'll take some polishing paste to it just to bring it back to glowing. There's something nice about patina on brass and stuff, but notification sounds. Excuse that. Just gonna.
How dare.
Turn that shit right off.
So the blade swap worked, eh?
more or less. You can see the lockback raised up just a hint on this thing. I was actually planning on swapping out the lock bars while I was in van, and then realized that this stupid thing's a T5. And I only brought my quick fix kit that only had the 6, 8, and 10. Didn't have the full gambit of.
Yeah.
So I didn't swap out the lock bars.
At least it felt pretty solid, but I did feel bad bringing that up. I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know. It's unfortunate. And to be honest, I think the only reason I even remembered that at the time was because Paul had wanted to adjust his, or was it Mark? Somebody wanted to adjust
it had
theirs
up and
at
down
work.
play, and I was trying to fix it.
And you're like, what the fuck? Who uses a T5?
Spyderco does with the man bugs, yeah. Apparently.
So upsetting. So upsetting.
So I will swap that out eventually, but today's not the day.
No, good lord.
Absolutely. No. Ben's carrying his Patreon bug out, CF Elite. Can't put it down. It's a great knife. Jacob's carrying his Manix 2 lightweight 4V and Midnight Jack JWK.
Ooh.
Jack Wolf knife.
Fancy.
Indeed. On that note, I'm also carrying a small knife this week.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's take a look.
And it's kind of more in line with the Jack Wolf, so that was a good segue there.
Okay.
I'm carrying a Pena X series Trapper.
Good. You need to carry that thing more often.
Yeah.
It's a nice little knife.
Yeah, I do.
No,
That's great.
He just needs to not carry it until he gets bored of it, and then I can buy it off of him. It's fine. It's fine.
No ulterior motives there. None.
No, none.
No.
Don't carry that knife. That's a dumb knife. Stop carrying it.
It's stupid. You should sell to me at a loss.
Exactly. Dumb. You should sell it to me.
This is from the long ago. I think I've had this knife almost 5 years.
That was one of the kind of nicer, like, first few purchases of like M390 carbon fiber, like, kind of posh sort of shit, right?
It certainly was. It was a step up from like your standard production ZT benchmade carbon fiber. It started the problem that we find ourselves in today.
Oh no.
Indeed. Like this problem?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that problem.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Look,
But definitely that problem.
If
It
we're-
definitely started me down a path.
yeah, I mean, if we're not here to reinforce each other's poor decision making or fantastic decision making, as the case may be, then what else are we really here for, right? Come on.
Oh wow, we're finally back, eh? Yeah. We needed
You know,
we
let
needed a
everyone
reprieve.
know. Touch and base, we're still alive. You know,
As far as we can tell.
Indeed.
it's good. It's good.
Got a pulse, so yeah.
Look at this guy. Big pulse over here.
It's ticking away. It's ticking away, Joe.
Oh God, yeah, is it ever?
That's one more heartbeat you'll never get back right there.
Oh jeez.
Today's the day.
Yeah. Need to have that image on standby just to throw up.
Blech.
Oh no, I didn't mean puking, but
Hey, take my fun away from me.
well,
All right. We actually kept it under the wire. Started late, finished early. Good stuff.
Hey, let's meander for another
There's-
few minutes just to ruin it.
No, it's 7:30 now.
Oh.
We're good. We can
No,
do
I
it.
know that's to ruin.
I was
it, you
gonna
say.
make a sex joke, and then Joe said that, and it made it even funnier in my head.
I'm glad I could do that for
In
you.
my head.
Let me meander and ruin it right at the end. Was just perfect.
Pleasure to be of service.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, ZT0044. Yeah.
Okay, before we even get started here on this damn review, I got to say something here about this 0044. So ZT comes out with a VIX blade, and it's a 0004.
Mhm.
And then they come out with two new folding knives, one of which looks just like the fixed blade. That's the 0004. They didn't name that one the 044. They chose to name the one that doesn't look like the fixed blade to have the corresponding numbers.
They didn't want you to be confused, you see.
Yeah, because ZT has ever given a shit about that.
Because
Like,
yep.
which 462 CFBLU do you own? Oh wait, that's a 5, not a 6. Sorry, it's
I
Look,
couldn't tell you. I don't
internal
remember the numbers.
internal logic only counts if it's consistent.
they
Anyway,
come out with so many 393 glows that they're like, do you have the green one or the blue one or the yellow one or the purple one?
I'm really happy that I almost killed Joe there with that comment, though. Like, not happy that I almost died, but happy that I could give him that level of the fuck.
just mildly upsetting. It's all okay.
Yeah, it's just like emotional whiplash. It's fine.
It's all good.
So anyway, yes, I'm done my ranting now. We're good to go. ZT0044.
Name your fucking knives.
Yeah, wow.
Especially if they're going to be nice. Anyway.
This one should be the 0512. I don't know why it isn't. I don't know why the other knife got the 512
So
number.
it used to be that ZT would focus on doing things like keeping designer names to certain number ranges. So if the number was like I think it was like an I think all the
800s were
06.
Rexfords and
Yeah.
500s were Hinderers and
6 was Emerson. Sinkovich was 4. I
Yeah,
want to say 3 was Ken Onion, but like not all the time. And certainly not lately, so who the hell knows?
9s were Les George for a while.
Yeah, like, but not all the time. There were a couple.
But not all the
George.
time. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, name your shit. This is a little silly. Anyway,
Yeah. The 0044, all TI button lockeroonies.
I hope when they finally name a knife, they just call it the zero tolerance. Just to give everyone just a little bit of post traumatic stress.
If it
you know?
comes down like 0 ground edge, I'll give them a pass. But it's got to be a 0 ground edge.
So they do name some of their fixed blades on top of having a number. So the Hinderer field knife was called a Hinderer field knife. That was the name
Okay.
of that knife.
I feel like that was Hinderer being like, this is
You-
what it's called.
It's like you
Yeah.
have to name it something.
Yeah.
So, and I think there was other thing like the boot knife actually was named a boot.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, was the dagger named anything? Yeah.
Yeah.
The little guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
actual boot knife, and boot knife was printed on the
Okay. Cool. So do it for your folders, please.
Dick Richards, no, not Ken Onion from Hawaii, the other one. Where's his son from? Isn't he living in Ohio? Or am I thinking of Butch's kid?
Somebody's kid's living in Ohio, and
It's a shame.
it's just a crying shame.
Yeah.
Speaking of crying
Get out.
shames,
Some specs you say
I got
on
Indeed.
this
I got-
sweet little bad boy. Maybe we can get some in-hand shots at the same time.
Yeah.
So the ZT0044 blade length of 3.2 inches of the finest CPMS 45. Heat treated to a 5961 Rockwell. Overall length is 7.55 with a weight of 3.4 ounces. It's ceramic, it's button lock, it's stonewash finish, satin flats. It's is it dual finish on the blade? Is that what I'm reading there? Stonewash finish flats, satin finish grinds. Yeah, there you go.
I think I had a close up of the blade up earlier. Yeah, stonewashy flat satin grind. Yeah.
I mean, you stonewash the blades and then you do your grinding afterwards.
Yeah,
So,
wouldn't be
good
shocked.
times. I think that's about it for specs. I think I covered all my bases.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to look up what the preferred hardness for S45 is. I'm not seeing it.
I think it tops
Really?
out around. I think it tops out around 62.
Yeah, I think the 59 to 61 is decent, hoping that you're going to get the 60 to 61 aspect of those things.
Yep.
I want to say it has a similar.
If you listen to
operating
Mike
range
from
with
Bark
S35.
River, which I mean,
Should
'cause
you?
I know, well,
Some of
Is
the
he
time.
doing
Some of the time.
S45?
I think he was talking about a 61 on the.
So ZT does have a section about their steel. Curious. Yeah. So
I was looking in the knife steel charts to see if it said. Because sometimes it does it, but not always.
the S30Vs also run 59.5 to 61. Wow, where did that 0.5 come from? S35, they run from 60, 62. MagnaCut 62 to 64. I'm still surprised about that. M4 60 to 62.
It's fine.
That's
It's fine.
that's
They're
the
making up
same.
for their M4.
Yeah. I mean, just because they're not Benchmade doing M4, come on.
60 to 62. Come on.
I'm just shocked that like they're doing that for the M4, but for the MagnaCut, they're going up into like.
They're like, we're gonna push it. Yeah.
Okay, well, sure. I have some size comparisons. I'm just gonna throw those up now. Here's a Spyderco one with a native on top and a dragonfly underneath. This is a smaller knife than I thought it was gonna be, and I don't dislike that. Usually, I'm kind of bitchy about that stuff, but
Especially from ZT, from what they're known for.
yeah. But here's a side by side with my 707 and my Skaha. Not a dissimilar size, really. Very nice middle of the road. Yeah.
This is right in that size of like preferred EDC carry for me. 3.2,
Yes.
3.5.
Then here's a bug out, a certain special bug out, the certain special freak. I think available still, cutting edge.
Fancy.
I
It's
didn't
not
check
an ad, it's
before we
fine.
went live. Well, no. I'm just saying they're available. But you are right though, as far as like your kind of preferred size carrier. I think a lot of people like this sort of size range. And
Well, look at that bug out. Jesus, how similar is that?
Yeah.
Length,
The
like,
overall length, blade shape, even the shape of like the choil for like where your finger sits.
the bug out, I don't think is the knifiest knife, but it is certainly an extremely knifey looking knife, if that makes sense. No, not to you. No, you know.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to be contrarian.
Like,
so the ZT is 7.55. This new bug out is 7.46. The ZT's blade is 3.2. The new bug out blade is 3.235. So it is like it's the same cutting edge as a bug out.
yeah. I'd argue.
Is anybody else surprised they didn't put a crossbar lock in this?
No.
No.
Only because Kershaw leaned so hard into the Duralock stuff, and because most of it is being done in China. I think they were smarter to go with a button lock for this one, just from a marketing perspective.
I'm also
Fair
going to
enough.
say no, but for completely different reasons.
Okay.
I believe Kershaw and ZT are 5 years slow behind everyone else, and they're still making cleavers for a reason. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
Is that reason nostalgia at this point?
But this is ZT's first new button lock. When did everyone else come out with button locks?
Yeah, touche.
On that same token, though, I'm
not trying to be an asshole here. It's
No.
just look at the timeline compared to
the timeline is a little brutal, but
everyone else in the industry.
The only reason I bring it up is because I'm waiting for the ZT version of the like Bel Air.
I would like. I'd almost want to see it in a frame lock from them. I don't know. Either that or use some better fucking springs.
Yeah.
I'm
Do
not,
a ball lock.
I'm not biased. Oh shit! If they license the ball lock from Spyderco, I think it's still under patent.
That would be amazing if they did and just were like, "This, we figured out this one's better."
I'd cave, especially if it was like an exposed. Like if they did some bullshit like this again, but it is ZT, I'd buy it. Absolutely, I'd buy it.
They just need to come out of nowhere and do a Demco collab.
A little shark lock ZT.
That'd be so funny.
Sick.
Does Kershaw have any spine-mounted locking system I'm blanking on right now that's similar to that? Like I know Civivi has theirs, and
No. And the reason I say that too is if you look through again ZT's timeline is they do collabs with mid techs.
Yeah,
do.
They do's the mid techs collabs. So you got the Hinders, you got the Emersons, you got a bunch of them, right? The Rexfords,
They do.
And it's been a while, but I mean, if anyone would kind of fill that niche for a mid techie that could be a good collab. And it would be funny jumping ship from Cold Steel after they're going down in flames. I mean, that's not true.
Why
would Dennis say something like that?
Why would you say something so controversial and yet so brave?
It's surprising how long it takes a ship to sink, eh?
Dude, the ship was pretty big to start, so
it's buoyant. It's got those airbags in the front and the back like the kayaks do.
Oh, fair enough.
We can slag that more later if you like.
Yes, please.
Very similar in profile to a bug out, yet not a bug out.
Yeah, I would argue more comfortable in hand than a bug out.
I would argue you're right.
I would argue I like the lines of it better, or at least the chamfering.
Oh,
those
yes.
said lines.
I don't know why we all need to argue about these things.
Stop. Hey guys, can you stop arguing?
Yeah, I guess. Just because you had to.
Paul.
Yeah,
I'm going to argue that.
Now I'm going to argue even harder. Yeah.
It's a re-arguing. I see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, aside from I should highlight actually this bug out is using titanium. I was gonna say it's not just that the ZT is made out of titanium because I like it more. I like FRN handles. I'm a kind of a weird duck, I think, in that regard compared to a few others out there. Cough, cough.
You are a weird
But
duck.
so if it's comfortable in hand, the material doesn't play as big of a role. But this feels very nice, like in the same way that the Sinkovich, what is that, the 450, the little guy, just a plain titanium. Like I love the way that thing feels in hand. It's just such a nice little knife.
Delightful.
Yeah, even my cormorant, like it's a talk about an ugly duckling, but there's a certain quality to like mid-sized titanium folders where it's like, yeah, that feels substantial, not obnoxious. The chamfering, they actually, this is a small detail, but I kind of want to highlight while we're talking about the chamfering and the lines on this thing. But the around the button, they have this raised section to support, I guess the housing is the best way to describe it, like the hole where the button will actually travel. They actually mirrored it on both sides of the knife, so it's completely symmetrical except for the absence of the button. Thank you for doing that. Like this is actually less effort than changing it to be different on one side versus the other. But thank you for making it the same on both sides, because a lot of button lock manufacturers will not do that. And then it just bothers me when I hold the knife.
So I feel ways about that. Because I
Yeah.
agree with you. I like the symmetry. And I like how nicely it is milled in and whatever else. And
Can you go
obviously,
back to that last shot of
With the button?
yes?
and yeah, obviously you need that little bit of extra material there to support where the button is and whatever else, I'm sure. But I hate the look of it. I hate the actual hump.
Really?
I-
Oh no.
I just wish the button was in a slightly different position where it didn't impact the line around the outside of the knife.
Ah, I see.
And I understand why it's not, for geometry and whatever else. I get it. But
Well, and even being out of the path of grip, and then being like still somewhere that you could have it smooth. Like, I disagree with Paul. I mean, the lines of it. It doesn't. I not necessarily disagree. I do, but whatever. I get what Paul's saying about it messing up the flow of that chamfer.
the intersection where your fingers go is such a nice transition all the way through. And I wish that just transferred all the way around the knife.
Yeah.
But I understand why it can't. And it's very nice the fact that they at least mirrored it so it's the same.
What
It feels intentional.
And I think for this too, there's nothing like crazy disruption on the flow of the knife aesthetically. Like that's a small disruption, but it's not like some knives out there that you're like, holy cow, that choil just wrecks it, or that lanyard hole is just awkward as shit, or that clip looks like a bedlam.
Yep.
Yep.
100%.
But yeah. So I get what you're saying, but I think this knife is so clean to begin with that the small disruption doesn't wreck. Still kind of the streamlined look to it, right?
Doesn't quite bother you, yeah. It's lefty compatible as well, which I'm sure earns some other points. I'm happy to see that they did it, and I don't particularly care that there isn't a filler tab. There.
I mean, it's just raised up anyway.
Yeah. I
Right?
didn't actually grab any shots of the clip like in that orientation, but it is just raised up from everything else. Although the screws are countersunk, so you don't have to worry about them standing up, as opposed to
No, a little bit
like
of a ridge for where the clip
that.
goes, but
Eh.
not
Yeah.
the
All
bumpity
things considered.
bumps with the screws on top of that type of thing, right? So yeah.
And aside from that, it's just one pivot screw, one body screw. So as far as disassembly is concerned, like this is about as easy as you're going to have the sandwich construction knife.
The sandwich tastes like bleeding.
So
Get that
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
price
Go
points.
Yeah.
I mean, on ZT's US website, it's $425 US, cut down to $340 US. I don't actually know if it's on ZT Canada's.
I haven't checked. I'll say at that price point for Americans buying the knife, I think that's a killer price, actually. that's pretty good. Maybe we're getting into how we feel about price a little bit earlier than we would normally, but I'll just say it now that like compared to what else is out there for the execution of this knife overall, plus the materials being considered, this is like a really solid knife, a really solid pick. I even at the Canadian converted price that we would see it at, I wouldn't feel bad seeing this money going to this knife as opposed to something else, you know?
So currently, they do not have it on ZT Canada.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know, sir.
That way they can just make up whatever price they want for us.
Well, there's a little bit of that.
They don't want to put it up, pre things.
Pre-shenanigans. Well,
Yeah. Pricing shenanigans as they may be.
Well, to give you an idea, the 562 Ti, the Ti Hinderer, is going for $312 on the US website and $645 on the CAD website. Now, the 562 does say $390 down to $312, but even $390, I don't know about that conversion to $645.
I know the Canadian dollar sucks
or
right
from
now,
the
but
ZT Canada versus the ZT USA. That conversion doesn't quite sit across the board there.
that con doesn't vert.
well, certain cons.
Well, and if you're looking at a 562 that says 312, and then you look at the Canadian website and it says 645, this knife is 340 on their website.
Ooh.
So if a 312 knife becomes a 645 knife, then a 340 knife becomes 5 million Canadian pesos, as Ben says.
Yeah. So this is competing directly with a Chris Reeve, if you could find one.
If you could find one.
Correct, sir. Correct. Any of the Harseys that are out there nowadays, you're competing with those bad boys. You're competing with some of the Damasteel Wee knife options at this point.
Do you think, and let's just consider the American pricing for a moment, but if we're just looking at American pricing compared to the other similar-ish items you can get, like how do you feel about that comparison?
Okay, so at that US pricing for what else is out there on the US market, yeah, great knife. Great knife. I mean, S45 is kind of, again, 5-year-old. It's a great knife 5 years ago. Buttonlock would have been great 5 years ago. Like it's
Yeah.
I'm still excited about the S45, if I'm being honest. Not enough people are using it.
I would agree with that. MagnaCut has a ton of hype behind it, for sure. I don't think that lessens the qualities of other steels, and I don't know that that means that MagnaCut is necessarily the better choice here.
That's what I'm saying.
It's an alternate choice, certainly, but
I only have one knife in S45, and it's a kitchen knife, so it doesn't get as much use as I wish it would. But I've enjoyed it, and I want more. But I don't want a PM2. I already have one of them.
I think part of it for me, maybe a little bit, is the S45. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't think it justifies $600 price points. It's
the problem is S45 is just as expensive to produce as MagnaCut is. It's the cost of acquisition of these materials is not that dissimilar.
No, but I think overall their pricing is a little out to lunch. It was always fairly high, and it's gotten silly. Similar to Benchmade.
I would agree. But as Canadians, we seem to get shafted on their pricing a lot harder than at their local markets do. And if we're considering those sales avenues, which again, most people watching this video and most of the people watching our channel, they're going to be American. And looking at the availability of this knife, looking at what it's made out of, everything that's been done to it, I don't know. I think it's in a pretty good spot. But that's only because
For
the
the American
execution.
market.
That's only because the execution is so good. Yeah, and I think it is a different conversation when we're talking about Canadian market, especially right now versus the American market. Um, yeah, but there wasn't, and to be fair, I've only seen a sample size of one. I've only handled one of these guys, but the fit and finish across the board on this thing was fantastic.
So that's the other thing I was gonna like throw out there. Regardless of what we have among price points and like spec sheets and whatever else that we're talking about and the chamfering and what we like, this is the first ZT that that's actually impressed me in half a dozen years. Like you bought the which is the little skinny mini,
The
707.
little
the 707,
little guy.
and I know that one kind of like wowed you a little bit, but
Yeah.
you got to go earlier than that for me personally to be wowed.
Yeah, that's fair.
I haven't been like wow this.
Oh, I'll fully admit this one was it tickled my particular fancy at a particular moment. Like literally holding the knife, I'm like, oh shit, this was made for me. Um, yeah,
So
I get
don't
it,
know the last
but
new ZT that came out that was a new design that I was like, oh damn, this is a nice knife.
This is the first one in a long while from me too, Dennis. I completely agree with you there.
Like it was back in the Rexford days and the Hinderer days
Yeah.
and the West Georgie
You
days
guys-
and the whatever that.
you guys seem to
Jacob-
gravitate to that style of design though when it comes to knives like this. So I understand the yeah.
It's got a little bit of the like Crooked River in the handle for me.
A little bit,
With the,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Single
Yeah.
finger choil,
That I
long
like,
sweep.
yeah.
We've talked about that how many times on the channel? Like it's like this is like the easiest way to make a super comfortable knife.
Well, and I've said to a couple different people on this one, and I mentioned it like back in the glory days that this is like a new generation 562. That was
Yeah.
one of the reasons that I talked about, like even the price point on the 562 is if you look at even the grind lines, the TI handle, it's a slim down, it's a toned down version, but it like has this like, oh, this is like the new re-release.
In fact, somebody asked me recently the last knife that I was impressed by from ZT, and it was the all TI 562.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to buy one of those at one point.
When they released the all TI version instead of just the carbon fiber version or whatever. Yeah. And then they came out with the blue TI one. And then, yeah. The micarta one with MagnaCut was all right. But the all TI was.
Exactly. Quick shout out to Fixed and Folded in chat. What is up?
Hey.
Also, Jacob saying, what's the competition for this knife? A ProTech Malibu. He'll take the Malibu. I've handled a Malibu versus this, and again, in a sample size of 1, so take that with a grain of salt. I think the 0044 was nicer than the Malibu that I have handled.
To me, they are trying to accomplish similar but slightly different things. So I don't know.
It was just in the drop shitty action is
Well,
only what I'm talking about.
I also prefer the TR3 manual to the Malibu, so
That is fair.
when it comes to flipper button locks, yeah, I like this particular ZT more than the
this thing
ProTech.
is definitely worth looking at. I think, yeah. And even when we had them first come in and we knew that they were coming in, I was like, okay, whatever, another ZT on the map, button lock, blah, blah, blah. Didn't give it time of day. And then you played with it and you're like, oh, son of a bitch, this is the nicest ZT I've played with in a decade. Like,
There's a little zero tolerance logo. I think yeah, you can kind of see it highlighted in this photo on the inside of the handle.
That's cool.
Lots of pocketing and internal milling on this guy as well. I'm just going to throw up some photos of the button lock for a sec, because the plunge lock on this thing, the polish on it, and the consistency on the actual, like the machined finish of that plunge is so clean and so crisp and had minimal stick. And there's a thing you could do with most button locks where you press the button down, depressing the lock, and then rotating your thumb. The texture of your thumb is enough that it can rotate the button. And so you can change the lockup if there's over if there's too much wear on one side of the button, right? And so I was interested in saying, okay, is it consistent? Like how, because this looks super clean, and I felt like almost zero difference. And any stick that had developed between me rotating it and flicking it, it went away almost instantly. Like 3-4 flicks, it was back to like stupid smooth and rock solid in every orientation I put it in. Like I am super impressed with the finish on that lock. Um, I'm assuming it's a separately heat treated piece of material that is similar enough to S45 that it just makes for an excellent mating surface.
I can attest to the fact that I have heard Joe talk about it for the third time.
Yeah, dude, it is
It's
seriously impressive.
I'm not hating. It's genuine. Like he's not just making this up for the stream. He feels a way.
Yeah, well, and it's because I've played with so many button locks over the years where so this is kind of a niche problem, but I had a Kaiser, I think it was the Kaiser Beglighter XL, that was the button lock. It was a 154 cm, and they had hardened. I'm pretty sure that blade was a little bit harder than the average because that button would wear in and end up with flat spots from it engaging with the blade, and you would have to keep rotating it to get proper lockup again. And eventually, it wore in evenly all around the button, but it took forever for that to happen. Sweet knife, I still love the profile, but like it was just one of those things. Like, damn, okay, this button is nowhere near what it should be as far as hardness is concerned. And it works. It was a solid lockup, but
Which
it's
knife
not.
is that again? Sorry.
That was the
Beglighter.
Beglighter.
Okay.
With the micarta handles, black wash finish on it. Again, nice knife. Otherwise, I've seen this issue on so many button locks over so many different price points. I've heard of this happening even with the earlier. Shoot, I forget if they were Medtex, but I think it was Les George who was doing some button lock titanium handled. They look very nice. I've wanted one for a long time. But anyway, it's an issue that if you're not looking for it can crop up. Everything on this knife looked so well finished. Incredibly impressive. And then here's the lockup interface, the groove furthest to the left on this photo. Nothing was skipped over. They didn't leave any weird finishing marks anywhere. They paid close attention to every surface that was touched, which is good because a knife at this price, you really want them to pay attention.
Sounds like you're writing like a spicy novel or something now.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Every inch was touched.
Dude, every millimeter of this thing. Come on.
Yes, exactly.
Indeed.
There was no surface left untouched.
You gonna put bat wings on it there, Joe?
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway,
That's a maybe, baby.
That's a deep cut.
suffice to say, I enjoy this knife. I would pick
Indeed.
it over many other button locks.
Yeah. If I had the I don't know, a few more of these, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, when it comes to the needs and the wants, I mean, at this price point, it better be a big want, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
It's a deep one of them deep needs.
Well, and we've had this conversation on and off the channel before, but when you get to a certain point in knife collecting, you kind of have like your edge retention cutting capacity needs met after a certain point. Like, how many times have I said, like, I have a military in S110V, like, I really don't need a pocket knife that is capable of holding an edge for a long time. Like, outside of that,
You really got to speak to me at this point.
Yeah, it's got to be something that hits a particular note.
But it's definitely a knife that if somebody were to pop it out of their pocket and be like, check this thing out, I'm gonna be stoked to muck around with it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And would buy one. I just don't know that I have.
If the conversion was closer to the American
Yes.
pricing, then, like, in terms of buying power, then yeah, like that, this would be a much more compelling option for me personally. Yeah, I think this is a good. I'm not even going to call this a return to form for ZT because this is still pretty divorced from the original sort of just beefy, ridiculous kind of frame locks that they had done over the years. Just by virtue of it being ceramic bearings in the pivot, it being a plunge lock. Like there are stronger locks, there's beefier locking systems. There's this is kind of again a very medium sized knife, which I like. I think is a good thing, but it's a
Are
very
you suggesting that it should be called the 0044 XM?
CRKT could be involved if they want to be. I can't prevent them. So
Neither can CT apparently.
yeah.
Get off my knife.
Well, they just got an XM button lock too, so I mean,
Touche, you got me there.
it's a race right now. It's I would almost put it back to some days of
Yeah.
not hand grenade ZTs, right? So
Oh, I
Yeah.
wish we had that for a side by side comparison because those have got to be super similar.
The 450, while smaller, still I think falls into that kind of category of just not a pocket brick, but
Right.
a great time in their knife making.
I'll tell you how big it is. 3.4-inch blade, 7.4 overall. This is a 3.2-inch blade with 7.55 overall.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's actually the 0044 is slightly shorter, or sorry, slightly longer overall, but slightly shorter blade.
Interesting.
A little more, you lose a little bit in here, I think.
Yeah.
All of that giant ass pivot.
Yeah, that kind of front section there.
Imagine how many of those units they would have sold without that pivot. Not to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, yeah.
Oh, the 609s? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too bad. This thing knocks it out of the park, except for that stupid pivot.
Or just throw the tool in with the goddamn knife.
Should have been included. Yeah,
No.
100%.
$35.
Beat a dead horse here.
That's a
Don't raise the
10-year-old
price
horse.
of the knife.
That horse has been
$20.
dead for how many years?
Yeah.
Now a zombie
As-
horse, and we've killed it a second time.
Yeah.
As long as that knife's been discontinued, it's fine. I still feel the ways that I feel.
No,
One of the four
I get it.
horsemen now just walks around because we killed his horse. Like, it's,
Just dragging it behind him.
which one of you, pestilence?
It's just a skull with reins.
I gotta go talk to a man about a horse.
He's made it into a puppet.
That's the first time that's an applicable statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 horsemen. Gotta go talk to a guy. Perfect. Perfect. That's a good way to end this review. So clip, I'll dabble back on the clip, even though it's not a recessed clip. I'm okay with not having a plate and not being recessed and all of those things. I'm also okay with it being very, very similar to a lot of their 2-hole screw pattern clips that they've had in the past. Like, that has been a successful. I've got a 450 up there that has that same pattern. Like, it's, yeah.
Do you have a 450?
Not a 450. It's an 808.
Okay.
It's just making up numbers now.
All right. I was like, have I forgotten about your 450?
No. Yeah, this thing. And like very similar. They've done several,
Yeah.
but they did it was the 450, the smaller ones that have this same clip on.
This knife gives me 450, or not 450, 808 vibes.
I was gonna say the 450 actually has they still have a shallow carry stick clip.
But I bet you it's the same screw pattern. Or
Probably,
similar.
probably very similar. Yeah. And I know again I'm I outlier in that I don't necessarily care all that much. I tend to find it makes the knife more comfortable. That was not an issue with this knife. In hand, that clip did not bother me at all. This specific deep carry clip I'm talking about, it's perfectly fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park. I think this is very cool. I wonder if and when they would ever do like a G10 version for a little cheaper.
Do a Kershaw version in G10.
Well, I know that they don't always do that kind of thing, but they
D2?
did have like the 350 and they have the 357. Those two knives were steel liner locks in G10, and they weren't
G10.
as expensive for a while.
But the 350 was kind of like the only one that was kind of like a slightly less expensive version of like a 300 or a 301 or a 303 or whichever three version you want to go after. But I
Whatever
think that's one
Hawaiian
of the
knife.
few times that they've actually done that in the ZT platform.
Yeah, it's not a common thing for sure.
You get the cross platform where you get this and you get the one that was called the Flyway, which wasn't even the same knife. It was just a similar pivot.
Yeah.
And you've had like other knives where they had that like Natrix
They'll also
crossover with the 777.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've done things where they've gone from like this. What is this? The 620 CF. They've also done a regular 620 with G10 and S35 instead of the M390. It was a bit cheaper. It was still a tie frame lock though.
as far as variations go, but the
Yeah.
variations didn't change that much in price.
Yeah, it wasn't a crazy jump.
For those ones, at least, like the TI versus the CF versus like the 562s, they're all in that same $50 price point, right?
Just-
like it's
But in this case, they don't have to have the entire frame lock made out of titanium in order for it to be functional, right? So
yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to. I personally don't even think it's likely. But if this sells like gangbusters for them, then maybe they'd consider it, and maybe there'd be a bit of a cheaper option. I think it would translate very well. Knife feels nice enough in hand, yeah. But
do you think they'll be able to keep up?
Like keep up standards or
Production.
Yeah, it's weird because they've stuck with the same models for so long, and if you look at the serial numbers on like the Sinkoviches on our shelf right now, like holy shit, they've made so many of each of these individual models. I think they'd be able to keep up with it. Just given how few knives they're making at the moment.
Touche.
But I don't know what their capacity's like, right? I don't really know. I haven't seen a factory tour from them in a while. I don't really know what the current capacity is at all.
Some guy named Jeff is just in his basement. It's fine.
Under a church. Yeah.
My name's Jeff.
For me would be like to see where they come out next, like what they come out with next. Like, yes, they did do that auto, and I've heard decent things. I've heard it's pretty snappy as far as the auto goes, but again, with being in Canada, we don't get to play with that bad boy. But I would really like to see what their next offering is, to see if this is like kind of a return or like they're kind of coming back to some stuff that is really impressive machining and something that you're like, wow, this is again, like every time a new ZT came out back in the day, you're like, oh, what they make this time? Oh, what they do this time? Like they had that notoriety of just like, oh, these things are sweet, right?
Yeah, and even if like stuff in the past, even if it wasn't for you, it was still like that's still impressive machining. Like that's still an impressive knife, even if it's not for me, personally.
Yeah, what they were like, the bunch of the Hinderer low stuff, never really like the Bowies and the stuff like that weren't my cup of tea, but all the machining on them were like, wow, you guys are coming out with some cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think this goes back to some of those days. So the next knife they come out with, is it going to be like this return to, okay, this is what we're doing now. We're going to go back to kind of some of the early ZT roots of some impressive machining that makes us stand out. Or are they going to pump out another, whatever, just mass produced, cash it in.
Variation on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. This does seem like a rather safe stepping stone. They already know that the market likes button locks. So yeah, seeing where they go from here would be interesting. I'm just happy to see something other than a titanium frame lock. Got to be honest. Like I'm starting to feel now about the crossbar locks the same way I am about titanium frame locks, which is just like, okay, fine, yes, it's a titanium frame lock. I don't care. Like there's got to be something else to it. Yeah, as long as they keep this level of execution up, I hope they will continue down this path.
For the record, Joe, no, they don't. They don't have to do anything different.
They don't have to do anything different, sure. But the industry at large, yes, please do something different.
Did you just compare? I guess I did earlier. Never mind. I take it all back.
Yeah. So careful.
Wow, price points are the same.
That's exactly it. That's my point. I've come full circle on my point back to making my point again.
Your point is now just a round ball.
It is pointlier.
We just have the Vosteed leopard question mark in chat. I don't know.
I will say yes.
Use your words.
I've seen it. It's nice.
Yeah. Is it gonna eat your face?
The leopard? No.
Not my face, no.
I wear those bandanas with the eyes on the back of my head, so I can't
there you
bounce
go.
on me.
Ooh, Gavco. Hey, that button. Is this a compression lock?
That's fun.
It is. That's cute. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
it looks a bit like a Cybertruck.
The top lock. It's a little bit.
So we're also talking about HRC 61 plus or minus 1. Okay. M390. That's okay. We're looking at Chinese manufacturing, right, Vosteed? So, I mean, to care.
What's this? What's the steel? M390.
It's M390. It's decent hardness. A little bit harder than I'm used to seeing. It's pretty cool. 250 American. Yeah. Little Cybertrucky looking thing, at least on the front end.
Yeah. I wonder if it bursts into flames.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, rule of thumb I've had in my head for a while is if you see something like this manufactured, take the price point, multiply it by 2.5, you're going to get closer to an American price point for the exact same knife. So,
the nice thing is with this knife here, you will get really good Wi-Fi. Just look at the handle. Look at all those bars, man.
yeah, lots of bars. Bars. Oh man, this light is just an awful color. Jesus. Okay. Well, I don't know about you guys. That's it.
Scores?
I don't know.
You got some scores. You got some ranks. Dick Richards rated it, but it's inappropriate. So continue on.
Yeah. Yeah, sure did.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
I don't know what I want to rate it now.
I'll rate it. I rated it 91.4%.
Okay.
Now you might ask me where I got that stupid number from.
I might.
Yes.
I might ask. I might in fact ask you.
Might in fact ask you.
You are correct.
Wow. This is some really dumb math here, you see. But the other new knife they came out with was the Model 512. And if you minus 44 from 512, you get 468. So he gets a score of 468 out of 512, which works out to 91.4%.
That is some convoluted math, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, next time name it the right number, and I won't do stupid math. That's.
I understand.
No, you will. You will. Math in general, kind of dumb.
Could have just named the other one the 44 and made it all make sense when I put it on my goddamn shelf. But no, you couldn't do that.
I'm gonna give this thing a 44 out of 45.
Look, you're asking too much.
Is that also 91.4%? It's just an easier way to get there.
Actually, what does that work out to?
No, it's not.
No, not quite, but
the unfortunate thing about naming a
97%,
ZT is that I can almost guarantee you, especially for the in-house designs, they would be named by committee.
So
if I've seen anything about Kershaw knives in general, it's just what random verb can we use today?
Oh, do
or
they
down.
have? They have a giant spinning wheel. And yeah,
And then they just throw a knife at it.
while it's spinning.
Yeah,
But it's got to be the knife that they're trying to name.
of course. It's part of the testing process. You see.
Drop test 1 meter.
Yeah. Dunk.
So, reason I'm saying 44 to 45 is because they should have named this the 45 because they've done all the other ammunition types,
Mm-hmm.
and this is an in-house design. So not naming it a bullet caliber seems a little odd.
Oh, it's a 44.
Yeah.
No. 44 Magnum. Yeah, it's not 44 Magnum though.
It's a 44.
You can't tell me
Where's
what
the Magnum?
words are in the end of the numbers. A 44 is a caliber, you son
It's
of
a
a bitch.
44 short, Joe. Non-Magnum.
Oh, I hate it. Fine.
Yeah, it uses regular condoms. Give it a break, Joe.
No comment. No, this wasn't designed by Ken Onion. This doesn't have the bullet casing. God damn it! What is that? The outer rim on the back edge.
The rim, the bullet.
Is that
Casing
actually
rim?
just all it's called? Okay, I thought there was a more specific name than that. Okay.
Depends on what kind of caliber we're talking about. Because
Well, we're
like
talking
a 44
about,
is rimless.
I'm talking about a 45. Damn it! Well, no, I guess we're talking about the 44,
Okay,
but
I should say a 45 is rimless.
I see.
Yeah, it's a pistol cartridge, not a revolver cartridge. Revolver cartridges have a rim, so they don't fall through the cylinder.
Hold up. What does ACP stand for?
Auto pistol caliber, something.
So they didn't name the automatic version of this knife, the 45 ACP, because it's an auto.
There's no automatic version of this knife. There's an automatic version of the fixed blade.
Well, they're all basically the same shape. Come on, we've been over this. Yeah, automatic Colt pistol.
Automatic Colt pistol, excuse me.
It's not a pistol, so like, fine, okay.
Yeah, Joe. God.
How dare I?
Yeah. I don't have a clever retort to you guys and your fancy math, and your pistol talk.
And your fancy non-valid pistol talk.
Oh, it's not valid, all right.
I'll show you non-valid. So what are you going to score it then?
I'll give it a 4.4 out of 5. Because that's pretty nice. But the price knocks it back a little bit.
It's an 88%.
Yeah, I'll give it that. That seems like a fair price.
Huh, you like this
Fair,
knife enough, you're giving it an actual rating. I'm shocked.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to be more clever with the 4.4 earlier, and I just couldn't come up with something. So
That's fair.
I'm going back to it.
I see.
And 4.4 out of 10 didn't feel fair because it's nicer than that.
Oh, it's way nicer than that. Yeah.
You say that like our scores
I'll be honest.
matter.
I'll be honest. The Canadian price would knock it down below the 4.4, but that American price is pretty nice.
I feel like this will be a common thread with American Knives reviewed in the near future.
I can't imagine why, Joe.
Well, no use thinking about it.
Yeah.
No use thinking about it.
Don't waste your brain power on it. It's fine.
That's something.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm dropping silver.
Stop dropping silver.
Stop dropping silver. That's not how it goes.
They taught us a lot
just let
about
him die,
stop,
and
drop,
then
and
we
roll.
can take his silver.
Oh,
He's playing the long game over here, Joe.
Yeah. Fuck.
You're not going to get very far. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Oh, I like it. Well, the silver's so heavy, you see.
I mean,
I'll bring a cart.
yeah, fill a sock with it. No reason.
You're not going to need your socks.
Oh my.
Have I just been threatened with no feet?
Well, we don't want you chasing, right? So
first they come for your feet. Jesus. I'm gonna nickname Dennis Diabetes from now on.
Oh. Oh dear.
Because he's so sweet, you see.
First the right one, then the left.
A little misery action.
Zaminator wants to know in chat, what is your opinion on CPM MagnaCut steel? Getting back into knives again, and it's everywhere. Yeah,
Is good.
we've talked about it at length on the channel before, but very quick summary. It's decent. It's probably a little bit overhyped, but it's a good choice. Take a look and see what MagnaCut does to knife prices. Like if you can find two models, one with, one without, that'll give you an idea. It's not a bad choice. It's a pretty good choice. High hardness MagnaCut. It's a perfectly fine choice. Some companies will run it a little lower because it is stupid tough at slightly lower Rockwells.
Yeah,
This one.
yeah, tough and stainless. That's basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edge retention, meh, decent. Tough and stainless.
Yeah, not terrible edge retention, but really
It's like
tough and stainless. Really,
It's somewhere in between like S35 and S30. It's more than manageable.
yes.
In concept, I think I like it most for outdoor knives and kitchen knives. I think that's where it'll shine the most. Yeah.
Yeah, I need
Basically,
a
like-
North Arm kitchen knife.
Yeah. Like if you like S35 or steels like that, you're probably going to like MagnaCut just fine. Yeah. Spyderco and Benchmade have a couple lines that are part of their Salt series and Water series.
It's
So,
a carbon
next-
steel. It's not a nitrogen steel, but it's a tool steel that is super stainless.
Oh, he has a nitrogen carbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't trying to.
No, it's all good. Yeah, if you want a deeper dive into it, knifesteelnerds.com, the guy who invented it, actually wrote up a pretty decent article, which I think is fairly impartial, given the fact he invented the damn thing. Yeah, it's worth looking at.
I still stand by the fact I bought this knife specifically because I don't know that you'll see MagnaCut in options like this in the future. I think it will migrate more and more outdoor use.
You think so, long term?
I think more and more people are going to realize just how good it is outdoor with its toughness and it's not having to
Yeah.
worry about a stainless,
Yeah.
I don't know the completely rust-proof aspect as far as the innards of a pocket knife come in handy. Low maintenance, not
Yeah.
needing
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not discounting its uses in a folding knife by any stretch. It was kind of a long game. The inspiration behind it was the Tough from Spyderco in 3V, which is a weird steel in a folding knife. Was kind of like my idea.
That was part of the thought process there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm agreeing with you largely because the first way I had MagnaCut described to me was like M4, but extremely stainless. It's like, you have my attention.
Tell me more.
Like, wow, okay.
Well,
Get Gib.
Like you were saying about it being good in a kitchen knife, like this knife is damn near kitchen knife thinness at the spine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Made many
it gives a good
sandwich.
example of, oh, dude, it sharpens back so easy.
That's the other thing too, is having a steel and like especially an outdoors knife where it doesn't take much to maintain. That's kind of nice. I like not having to worry about, oh yeah, I gotta like spend significant amounts of time getting this back to a nice edge before I can keep working. S35 is like that too, but again, MagnaCut does pump up that toughness a lot.
Infinite's trying to suggest that it's just stainless, not extremely stainless. No, it's extremely stainless. The only thing that I've seen that it was actually able to make it change color at all is like brine and leaving the knife exposed partially in and out of said brine. If in regular salt water, it's not going to rust.
Rust is kind of interesting in that once it starts propagating on an object, it can transfer. So you can have something start to rust that's not MagnaCut, have it in physical contact, and the rust will kind of bleed over onto the MagnaCut. But in most people's testing, it'll just wipe right off. Like it is growing from the MagnaCut at that point, but you can absolutely, it's very surface level. It'll come off almost immediately.
From what I understand too, most of the early like kind of pushback on its stainlessness was in specifically regards to potentially bad heat treats that weren't leaving the chromium in solution. And grinding on a belt with a high carbon steel, and then grinding MagnaCut and leaving remnants of said high carbon steel on the blade that would rust and propagate.
That was the bigger issue that companies like, I want to say Bark River ran into that early on. Spyderco ran into that with their LC200N early on and applied those lessons to MagnaCut later. It's a known issue that if you're dealing with specialty steels like that, and stain resistance is one of the main focuses, you need to make sure your tooling is only being used on that same material, so that you have as consistent results as you possibly can. More expensive to process that way because you can't share tooling in between projects, but if you're doing enough volume, difference comes out in the wash. Yeah. I still do think that it's still a little bit overhyped, but I'm saying that from the perspective of somebody who willingly carries like VG10 and I'm perfectly happy with that.
I would say it's overhyped in the regard that there are certain people that kind of make it seem like it's the best case scenario in every scenario. And I think, if you want edge retention, it's not the steel that you go for. You go for a Maximate or a Rex 121 or a 15V or
even a
K390 ZDP. Yeah. But that's what those knives give you. You're not going to get that here, but you get a really nice rounded. It's going to be enough edge retention for most people in their day-to-day. Incredibly stainless, nice and tough, so that you can do things with your knife that you don't have to baby it as much.
Yeah.
Don't pry with it. Don't be dumb. But
I think that's why that thought process is why I'm not actually disappointed to see S45 on the knife we just reviewed, as opposed to things like MagnaCut or 20CV.
That's 100% it.
Yeah. Still works quite well. It's still extremely functional for what it is.
I have said more than once that one of the cooler things about Dennis's Chris Reeve is the fact that he was able to get one in S45, because I think that's going to be an incredibly rare thing in the future, especially if they completely transition over to MagnaCut. I don't know. They still say it on their website. I don't know how many of them come out at the factory with S45, but
yeah, I don't think any right now.
No, that's exactly it, right?
Half a jump back to the 0044. I know we're down on MagnaCut, but I forgot about one thing. Joe, if you actually look up just type in ZT0044 and then HOB exclusive.
Oh, bog. I don't know where bog came from. HOB exclusive?
Yeah. Go to images.
Images.
Oh, okay.
There's a blue and silver milled.
There's also this thing. What the hell is that?
Well, those are just House of Blades does custom aftermarket stuff.
But that blue and that silver.
Is that like paraframey? Is that what I'm seeing?
So I'm not sure if they did full out skeletonizing, but ZT and HOB came out with these on their social media as being exclusives for House of Blades down in the States, I believe.
Well, isn't that a shame that that is the highest quality resolution we can get?
That is a shame.
They're being difficult.
For shame. Just open it in a separate window and stretch it. Until it looks like dog water.
It won't open image in new tab. Will it? Yeah, it doesn't load it. Oh my god, it's so small. Oh, so I mean, it kind of looks like it's through milled. Those could be inlays. It's so hard to tell. It's
got a grill.
I'll be honest. I'm glad they didn't do this for the standard.
It's gonna be a lint magnet.
No, I like the clean look of the other ones, but I did think that it was kind of fancy that they did it.
It is fancy. It's a cool option. But, I kind of wish though that they had continued those 4 or 5 lines, and just all the way along the handle. That would remind me of the Oh God, I just had the number in my head. This is why I need to name your shit, ZT. It was the ones of the LMAX. I think Paul had one, unless I'm misremembering. Shoot.
Which, sorry?
It was a ZT that had a.
801s.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the 801
Yeah.
with the milling.
And they did a whole bunch of different versions of this thing, but like, yes, this one with the lines going across, that would have been kind of cool. Just on the flat,
Yeah.
that would have been kind of neat.
Oh, it's got a picture of the copperhead right beside it too. God
yeah,
damn
it
it.
sure fucking does.
That might
And I
be
don't
the
know if
best ZTs.
you
ever.
guys can see that at all. There we go. There's a
Oh.
milled version of HOB as well. That's on their Insta.
Interesting.
Milled all the way through. And it is. It's skeletonized. You can, like, it's.
Huh. The thing's got to be pretty lightweight then. That's a significant amount of material they removed. That
And
looks
they're
like.
releasing them at Blade Show Texas. So I think they actually released them with ZT as something that they were doing.
Okay.
Because the social media post is ZT and HOB sharing the post.
Very cool.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting, if nothing else. I do like the look of the blue.
Examinators asking about Cold Steel. Do you think the company's better or worse? Probably worse.
I was gonna say probably not better. That's for sure.
Yeah. We keep on hoping that they're gonna, pull their socks up a little bit.
There was.
But there's some droopy socks going on right now.
I
It's the
would
worst.
say, from my perspective, there's 2 points in Cold Steel's history that were like super exciting. One was the lead up to them being sold because they knew they wanted to be sold, so they were doing a lot of incremental
Higher-end stuff.
improvements. Well, they would stop using Oz 8 and start using, XHP and then S35 and mere DLC'd a lot of their products. They would do things much further into the past that were like high-end limited edition things, like the original iterations of the custom series.
The Caledonians and stuff that they're attempting to re-release now, but
Yeah.
not nearly as successful. Yeah.
Yeah.
These days, it's very much like there are certain specific things that Cold Steel's coming out with where I'm like, hell yes, that is incredible. Can't wait to see it. And then there's other stuff where it's very much like, okay, this is a cash grab sort of event where GSM, which is now owned by someone else, is doing something that's SOG can also get in on. Like it's
I'll say
less
this.
aimed at enthusiasts. So for the long-term survival of the company, this might be a better move. But in the midterm, it's like, not as nearly as exciting.
When was the last time you bought a Cold Steel that you would do this to?
Yeah, there have been certain QC misses.
My Frontier Bowie 10 years ago, but it came from India. Some of the stuff from the India factory was hit and miss.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
But the last time you could do that with the Natchez and not slicey yourself is not.
And
Not
I'm not
making-
pressing hard by any stretch, but there's no tooth to that edge
mean,
at all.
This is one
Yeah.
where
that's
like
fair.
if I press
And-
very hard, man, look at that polish though. This is definitely one of those ones where if I press very hard, I would absolutely go to bone.
Yeah. Same with this one too.
But yeah, the edges that they were known for back in the day, not quite the same.
This ain't it. No.
And I'm not, and I will point out it's not just because of the difference in steel, because the XHP and the S35 they're harder to grind than S35 or harder to grind than Oz 8. Those still had those scary sharp edges all throughout. This is a different issue.
I think
Well-
partially too, when they moved from California to Texas, I don't know that the gentleman that did their sharpening moved with, or the gentleman. I don't know if it was more than one person or not.
No, that was actually a point of contention. I don't think they did.
Yeah. So I think we're also feeling that because that guy did a pretty decent job of.
So
Edgeronis.
Damon's asking, is it just quality or what type of thing? It's all over the map. The old stuff looks like some of the corners are getting cut. The new stuff is very hit and miss, but I'll say very hit and miss because all of a sudden you came out with a carve with Oz 10.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
The carve
carve
is
knife is nice, right? Like it's got a good blade shape. It's got good contouring on the G10.
It's interesting that you say that there's been a quality drop on the old stuff, because I would have said that the old stuff has stayed mostly the same.
Mostly, but
Mostly.
I think some of the like quality control, like they just rush them out type of thing. I don't think they're getting quite like the fine tooth comb before they're being put in the box.
That is an absolutely fair point.
Yeah.
They definitely feel like they're putting out more and more. Just hey, we'll throw this one out there, see if it sticks. If it doesn't stick to the regular market, we'll sell it at Walmart. We'll sell them cheap. Nobody will care.
Yeah,
And
I'm
there's
curious to see about the new frenzies.
yeah, me too.
Smaller
I'm
Yeah.
hoping. I'm
Like again,
hoping.
that new kind of like again, we
That'll
keep on having high hopes that some of the new stuff is going to be like the carve quality, and you're like, damn, this is a nice knife type of thing, but not like some of the other stuff that's been coming out.
tell
We're
you
hoping for that on the Swift, right?
the Swift. That was the other one I was thinking of. Like, there's a lot to look forward to. It's again some of these designs. It's like, yeah, hell yeah, super excited. Please don't be disappointing when you come in. Uh,
Indeed.
yeah, QCs aside, I think it's still worth getting excited over. Like, and it's not like the people who are running the company now aren't paying attention to certain aspects of their products. It's just I worry that the lack of enthusiasm might bite them. In particular, I'm thinking about the engage locks. Like, we've reviewed them on the channel, I believe, but one of my big criticisms for that lock, and it's not the same on the carve, but it is on the engages. The Atlas lock has a very mushy detent, at least the earlier versions did. So the Mayhem, which is a massive blade with the Atlas lock, actually has a very clicky positive detent. It feels more like there's a mechanical interface that needs to be overcome before the blade can open, rather than just kind of a mushy sort of deployment. And that would only happen if somebody looked at the mechanism and thought, hey, there's something we can do here to make this a little bit more crisp.
Absolutely.
Jacob's asking where they're selling the 3.5-inch frenzy. Check out Cutting Edge Cutlery Co.'s page in the next couple weeks. It'll be probably some fancy new stuff to check out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
If it's at least as nice as their older triad frame backlocks have been, I'll have my first 3V folder.
And yeah, like I said, we keep hoping because they have thrown out a couple different gems that are like, oh damn, this thing's actually like really nice. But it's to the point where we're actually saying like, oh, this is actually nice, instead of like the expectation of being like, okay, which corners did you cut to get this thing out the door?
Yeah. There were certain things too that, like, weird choices. Like, this may sound kind of nitpicky, especially from a guy who has gone on record multiple times saying, hey, I like Teflon washers if they're done correctly. But like on the new custom series, the Caledonian Edge and the Spectres, they're on Teflon. I've yet to see one that was completely perfectly centered out of box and stayed that way. And they're T6 pivots. But you DLC everything, you change the blade steel, you change the construction type, methodology, and fit and finish, and you leave those things the way they were. Again, it's like they're checking certain boxes, and that enthusiast quality just isn't always there.
Yeah. I really hope the frenzy is good because I really want one.
Yep. 100%.
All right. I don't think anyone has anything else.
No, we should. We talked about it earlier, but we never actually came with cash in hand.
Yes. So we will want to kind of salute the end of an era. Another Canadian knife retailer did mention that they were going out of business and had been in business for quite a while. So the end of the cash in hand era has come and gone. So cheers, boys.
Absolutely. One of the highlights of doing the Toronto Fan Expo.
Yeah, for sure. Got multiple items from there that was bought with cash in hand.
Absolutely. Well, if you know, you know. Our thoughts on Microtech. They make knives. Most of them we can't play with. The ones that we can seem pretty nice.
That's funny because I got this old Microtech amphibian here. That is an old Microtech amphibian.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all.
You know, you say that.
Oh, I'm so fucking bitter.
Yeah.
My gray-handled version of that exact knife, the manual amphibian, legitimately would still today be in my like top 3 out of my entire collection, easy. If I was
You
able
just
to
need to
carry it,
retap those screws, bro.
dude, that aluminum handle makes me so fucking nervous.
Put
So
it together.
there's my bitch point about Microtech. They still insist on threading directly into the aluminum, and I get it. It's fine most of the time, but fuck,
When it's not, it's really not.
that really bit me in the ass. Yeah. Dennis will never sell that knife, but
No.
But I keep
You
hoping.
just need to come up with a very elaborate heist, Joe.
Well, yeah, but when the
Come
hell
up
am I
with
gonna...
a team.
Dude, he's gonna see that fucking pocket clip sticking out of my pocket. He's gonna punch me in the side of the head.
He just he won't even know that you came into the house, but he'll just be like, "What? What is this?"
Yeah.
No, I
Friends
found it online. Punch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the problem is they serialize all the blades, and his is green, so it's like, yeah, no, there's no faking that. Yeah.
You just cross out one of the numbers, change it.
Like, to be honest,
Label maker. That's what label makers are for.
yeah, the fucking emboss, like the old style, like, yeah, adhesive strip, like the credit
that's
card ones,
perfect.
right?
White strip across the, yeah.
God, no, but
Yep.
like, okay, my love for that knife, if they release that, if they re-release that exact same goddamn knife, didn't even improve anything, just exactly that, and released it alongside the Ramlock version, that's a 4-inch blade, and I like big knives, like the Police is usually in my pocket, the Utilize is one of my favorite Spydercos. I'd buy the other one, I'd buy the old one, I'd buy the smaller one. I think it would be in my pocket right now. I'd be fiddling with it. It's such a nice knife.
Absolutely. We're being asked if Benchmade is falling behind now that other companies have access to the access bar.
Wow. Okay. You guys
This
wanna...
year will be interesting, but up until now, their numbers aren't showing that they're falling behind anywhere.
Yeah.
Looking at how many
Indeed.
units sold, and Benchmade's doing just fine, regardless of what some people might say.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, it is what it
Yeah.
is. I don't buy as many Benchmades as they used to. They don't wow me nearly as much as they used to, type of thing, right? But yeah, it's
So, and it's funny that we're talking about Microtech and then talking about Benchmade because pricing wise, they've kind of switched places. Microtech really hasn't gone up in price all that much over the years for their standard stuff, but the Benchmade stuff has just gone up and up and up. And it feels like they're switching places in the market almost, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I hope that, you know, in 5 years from now, because Benchmade's one of those companies like ZT, like Kershaw, we were saying before, that take a couple years to finally realize the writing on the wall.
Well, it's difficult
so,
though, because like
Fixin' Folded is talking about the glide lock from Quispy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
oh,
and
well, okay,
there's lots of things.
I
I just
agree.
hope that Benchmade expands their market and starts doing other things, because some of their frame locks and stuff like that, when they do them, or a liner lock, say, quite nice and snappy.
So it could, it's entirely possible. Oh, Benchmade liner locks, fuck, you want to get me like bitter. Some of the nicest liner locks I've played with have been Benchmade. But who knows? Maybe Benchmade is playing some crazy bullshit like 5D chess. They're putting themselves into this high tier, high end market where people are happy to pay $600 for a fucking bug out. But then eventually they start coming out with budget oriented options with injection molded handles that actually make sense. Like, who knows? Maybe that could be their plan for another 5 years down the road. And until then, they're just going to milk this.
How long did it take for them to come out with an S30V bailout?
The question I have for you there, though, if you're making money hand over fist with the expensive stuffs, why do you ever make something in the inexpensive line?
Oh, only when you see a slowdown. See, the idea again
okay.
is like they preempt all this with the high end stuff, and then as soon as they start to notice, okay, there's been a bit of a consistent dip. Now we enter into the like we've exhausted that market.
And-
Now we
and
that's a fair
reintroduce the
point.
budget lines.
And as your price goes up, your budget line isn't as budgety anymore when
Yeah.
you've released it because your pricing keeps on continuing to climb and climb, right?
So through perspective, it looks like a far better deal than it actually is. Exactly. So like maybe they're doing this kind of crazy forward thinking, but if that's the case, in the meantime, you would expect some more technology jumps. Maybe perhaps a spoiler for a future review, but a certain knife that's due to release imminently here is not using any upgraded Omega springs, and it's still using the same axis lock system. And it's been a consistent bitch point of ours that, like, hey, it'd be super cool if we could have some more reliable springs or a different spring technology used in your standard models.
You've literally come up with 3 new springs and you haven't used them in anything but those 3 knives.
And one of those springs
What the
uses
hell?
the exact same technology used to make your regular springs, so theoretically it should be just as easy and straightforward. Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason for you to not do this.
Spite, Joe. Spite is the reason.
Yeah, again, I'm just
Um,
gonna keep bitching about it.
It's the 0.3 cents, sir. The 0.3 cents add up.
Yep. Yeah, since less passed, it certainly seems like that's been the attitude. And I hate that timeline lines up so cleanly, but
It's no matter what, as soon as the person that it was a passion project for leaves, things change.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. You
Yeah.
know, if that whoever owns what's it called? What's that giant grocery store? Costco. If the guy that maintains the hot dog prices ever quits or passes away or anything like that, you don't think hot dog prices are going to immediately start going up?
yeah.
They'll shoot themselves right in their own hot dog.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Some much needed brevity. Oh.
Good times. Good
Oh,
times.
my apartment smells delicious.
I think that's the signal. That's the
Like like Ribley goodness.
All right. All right.
John Q.
I think
Ribbles.
that rounds us out here, gentlemen.
I think so.
Thank you again to the Cutting Edge Cutlery Co. for bringing in the latest and greatest, the ZTs. Hey, one that I actually like. Good for you guys. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it. I'm sure other people do too.
Do it again.
Do it.
You should thank some people, Paul.
I'm going to. Well, I was going to thank this person directly because they liked 3 of our posts on Instagram, but I can't say their name. So they get nothing.
I can't say their name.
You refuse to say it, or you can't pronounce it, or you shouldn't say it on YouTube.
I'm going to give you a wild guess, Joe. Remember, it's me.
Shouldn't say it on YouTube.
No,
No, I know.
that's not me.
Pronouncing, I know.
Yeah. Michalek, maybe? Michalek?
Michaelek. Yeah.
Michael. Yeah, a little Michalek.
Michaelek. Why not?
Yeah. Like some of our things. Some of our old things. Like a folding Adamas from 2021. We appreciate you.
Well, yeah. It's a nice knife.
Yeah.
Tis.
And it's also probably one of our more recent posts.
Yeah, that also tracks for sure.
Oh, Paul.
Thank you to everyone, past, present, future, that's contributed on Patreon. We really appreciate it to you guys. Eventually, we'll probably give away some other stuff and wait 3 years to announce it. But you know, that's what we do. It's what we do.
You're
In the meantime,
welcome.
it keeps the call subscription going. It's all good. Much
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Cheers and jeers.
We're back next week.
Yeah, that's what
We're
you
back
say.
next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly that. Well, we're gonna make promises we can't keep.
Well, unless
Yeah.
I'm stranded on the side of the road somewhere Saturday night, I'm sure we'll be back.
Okay.
We're gonna get a call, Paul. You can hear the background
Oh.
traffic noise going by.
Just gonna know.
Errant gunshots. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna make
I'm
it
on the
back.
New Jersey Turnpike. I
don't
was
know how
John
I got here.
Malkovich for the last 3 minutes. It was really weird.
Oh, good stream, guys. Except for Dennis.
Oh,
Catch you next week.
jeez.
I mean, it's Ben, so he's gonna
Oh.
get one last dig in.
Okay.
Mine was great.
Ours was just
You guys had a good
good.
stream. I had a great stream. It's okay. He's gonna DM me later. It's
any day now, right? Like,
yeah,
Just a kissy face emoji.
just the GIF with a bouquet of roses. It's not. That's not gonna happen.
No,
All
Probably
right.
not.
I think that's everything we got. We'll back here again next week here, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back Sunday, 7:15 Mountain Standard Times.
16, 17, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
You gotta wait until at least 20 after to know if we're not gonna be on stream or not. That's the rule.
It's just sitting there blankly looking at your computer screen, waiting for us to go live. Sounds like
sounds riveting.
Yeah.
not gonna happen. Anyway,
It's
all right, guys.
unlikely.
It's been fun. We will catch you all here again next week. I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
And I'm xl.ca.
See you next week, guys. Bye.
Toodaloo. Ribbies.
You can keep your toodles to yourself.
Ribbies.